Okay, so we're approaching the end of the ozone course here, but and we haven't talked about the maximizer yet, but we're going to talk about that one last. I want to talk about the tonal balance control first because the tonal balance control is something you want to dial in before you start pushing the volume really hard. You want the tone of your track to be dialed in as closely as possible. So normally it'll look like something like this. This is what you'll probably see, but you probably want to switch it to fine because this will give you a much more detailed picture of what your track looks like. So right up here, we can select three different curves that are already preloaded into the tonal balance control. But we can also create a custom curve. We can go to our reference folder and just hit open, and it will analyze all of those tracks that we imported in there, and it will give us a curve based on those tracks. So this you can see this really faint light blue line in here. That's our target frequency range right there. But anywhere in here is basically the range of where we can go if we wanted to emulate the tone of those other tracks that we were looking at earlier, those reference tracks. The reason why we use tonal balance control is to give an even tone across an album. Say if we're mastering an album, we want everything to be sound congruent, like it's encapsulated in the same piece. So sticking to one curve for a whole album is essential. This will also help us with translation across multiple platforms. You know, if you want this to sound the same tonally in the car as you do in your studio or in headphones or wherever you're listening, you want to make sure to get the tonal balance dialed in correctly. So the cool thing about this is that it will tonal balance control talks to ozone and vice versa. So we can come down here and select ozone 1. We'll hit this button right here, and this will give us our EQ that we have set up in ozone 8. If you watched the my course on Neutron, you saw me talk at length about this. This is a really great feature of Isotope's new products. It's a really handy function. So let's get this thing tonally balanced. Okay, so looks like our only problem frequency is right here. So I'm gonna dial this back. Looks like we're at 8,000. I'm gonna dial it back a couple of dB. Probably a little bit more. You can probably afford to reduce some of this bass down here too. So we can go like that. And it looks like our high mids are starting to. You notice how when we took out some of the bass here, those high mids came up. That's an important thing to notice too, because in your mix, there's only so much room for for every element in your song, right? If you have everything, if you have everything try to be loud, it's either going to sound distorted or just one thing is going to take over. So you want to try and balance everything, and you could see the low end is the highest up here. That's because it takes up the most space. The low end will take up more space across the in your mix. So you want to make sure to tame that. You know, in the mastering process, we're going to make everything loud, but you want it to sound balanced before you start making it loud, because otherwise your low end is just going to be out of control and you won't be able to hear your highs and your high mids as much. So let's get these high mids under control here. So we'll try it bypass and flip it on and off and see what the difference made. So you could hear like that fuzziness came like it came out of the track, and normally people will be like, "Oh man, that the high frequencies left the track. That's not good." Well, it in the long run, when we boost everything up, those high frequencies are going to come back, and they're gonna be more balanced with the bass over here. We don't want too high frequencies too, because if we start to push those are the ones that are most audibly distorted. When the high frequencies are distorted, it's really audible and it sounds bad. So keeping that in mind for the tonal balance control is really important.